I talked about, I did this show in Las Vegas, and I had to train new talent. And normally the process is it would take weeks and weeks and weeks. And I didn't have weeks because the person who was doing it, my ex-partner at the time, walked out and said, I'm not doing this anymore. So I had to fill that gap quickly. So I hired actors, and they had to learn a script, and they had to hit the marks and do all these things. So let me ask you a question. Has anyone here not seen the original Raiders of the Lost Ark? Have you all seen that? Okay. Tony, if I ask you the scene with the guy with the scimitar going back and forth and Indiana Jones pulling out the gun and shooting him, could you describe that scene to me? I don't mean right now, but you could describe it, right? And as you're describing it, what are you seeing in your mind? The scene, the movie, exactly. We are visual beings. Does anyone understand anything about memory techniques? I'm a big fan of speed reading and memory techniques. Anybody know about memory? Sorry?
Associating an image.
Memory palaces, right. So if I say to you, a church, a broomstick, a dark cloud, a stream, and a quacking duck, in that order, you're going to say, oh, I see a church with a broomstick sticking out of it that's just touching the border of this dark cloud that is over a brook with a quacking duck, a stream with a quacking duck. You have the visual. So now I could ask you, okay, give me the order of that, or now you could give it to me in reverse because you've planted it visually, right? That's one memory technique of many. Memory techniques came back, started in Roman days because the orators had to memorize their speeches. And there were no teleprompters, at least not that I know of back then. You know, it's hard to get those granite tablets to sort of scroll up, you know, so no teleprompters. So you can visualize that scene. So now you're writing copy that you want to be visual, right? You want someone to get an image when they read your copy, as if they're there. When you read a novel, you know, everyone says, oh, the book is always better than the movie, right? I always say, never judge a book by its movie. So if you're reading a book, I was a big Robert Ludlum fan. And so I'd read Robert Ludlum books. Have you ever read Ludlum?
Sorry? Read Tom Clancy books?
Yes.
It's okay. Similar to Ludlum.
Yeah, so you read these and you're there. You're James freaking Bond or Bourne or whatever, depending on what you're reading, or Hunt for Red October, and you can't put it down, or you're Vito Corleone in Mario Puzo's The Godfather. You can't put these books down. And so the concept of the written word is to give you a visual image. We work by analogies. That's how our mind works. If we can visualize it, it becomes real. Your job as a writer is to visualize. Get people to visualize something. I can see myself taking this vitamin and becoming this. You did that for me. Absolutely nailed it. So it's about visualization. So here's a shortcut for you, because there is no such thing as writer's block. What it is you've got an assignment and you need to write copy, and you want to get a message for a specific topic, a specific product, and you need to create not the written word, the movie. You need to create the end reel. What is the scene? And now write the script. But here I'm saying something different. It's not about mapping your mind and where it's going. It's seeing a movie in your mind. I take a product, a message, and I'll see a film. I'll create actors and I see it all coming together, and I say action, and they act out the scene. And I see the cuts to the cameras and the editing and what music is behind it, and I play that movie. All of you are looking at, 40 short, white jacket, ties in the back now. But the fact is, if you see the movie first, writing the copy is easy. It becomes, now I just have to put on paper what it is I just saw so that everybody else can see it too. That's the secret to me of copy, because I've written film scripts and TV scripts and direct mail, and I've written all my life. Knock wood somewhere, if there were any in here. I have no writer's block. I've never had it, because there are a lot of tools and techniques. I'm giving you some now, but this is good for all of you, because what's the movie of what you're doing? What's the movie of the new customers who come in and buy from you and the results they have, and what image do you want to see of that? And how, do you look like Clark Gable, or do you look like, I don't know.
Randy Quaid.
I'm sorry?
Randy Quaid.
There you go. Nobody but Randy Quaid wants to look like Randy Quaid. So the point is that if you play the movie first, everything else is easy. I had a writer help me when I was in Hollywood writing, a man named Roland Kibbe, who used to do all the Columbos, and a brilliant writer. And he was on Barney Miller. And I was writing a Barney Miller, and I handed in a 3-page story, and he looked at it while I was sitting there, and he read it, and he goes, "Do you call this a story?" I said, "Yeah." He tears it up in a million pieces, throws it up in the air, and says, "Close the door. Now we're going to talk about story." So this was a Thursday, and he said, "I want to see a 25 to 30-page story, and come back Monday." So I came back, and I did it. I worked all weekend on it. And he said, "Okay, you have 2 days to write the script." The script wrote itself, because the story was perfect. And he taught me things like, if you have a hole in a story, don't try to cover it. Put a spotlight on it. Because if you cover it, it's going to keep getting bigger. Put a spotlight on it, everybody accepts it. Do you want proof of this? Can I give you proof of this? How many of you have seen the movie Casablanca? Okay. The whole concept of Casablanca is that people are fleeing Europe to get to Morocco, to get to Casablanca, where they sit and wait for an exit visa to go to the US. Casablanca is controlled by the Germans, and it has to be signed by General de Gaulle. General de Gaulle is an exiled French general living in England because France is under German occupation. And do you think that people can get to Casablanca and then the Germans are going to go, "Oh, it's signed by General de Gaulle. Oh, sure, go ahead. Where do you want to go? Chicago, New York? Go ahead. He signed it, you're out, we're fine." It is preposterous. But what the writers realized was, if they didn't have that, there was no story. It was the impetus for everything. So what did they do? They started with a voiceover announcing that this was the rule, period. And everybody accepts it, because they put a spotlight on the hole. You're going to have holes in your writing. You're going to have places where you can't go. Put a spotlight on it. See, the one thing I know about you and everyone else who writes, you're a better editor than you are a writer, correct? Everyone is. You can edit a lot better than you can write. The hard part is to separate yourself when you're editing your own work. You have to look at your own work as if somebody else wrote it. And that involves a lot of drugs, but we can talk about that later. So the point is that put spotlights on the holes, write it as if it's the movie, and get it down on paper. Because once you see the movie, here's what happens. Your passion, your understanding, your evolution, your process, they've all taken care of themselves. Clearly, you've gotten product knowledge before you start this exercise, so you know what it is you're selling and writing about. But you're then looking for, what's my motivation? What's my passion? What's my image? What's my message? Put it in a movie. Make that movie as dramatic as you want. And then you find yourself saying, imagine you're on stage, or imagine you're on your first date with someone who is, your whatever, compatible person, and you're having the time of your life. Aren't you glad that your skin is perfect? Your makeup is, on and on, your lips. Let them visualize what you saw in your movie. You're sending your children to school for the first time. You're worried. You're scared for them. It's the most difficult day of your life. Don't you want to know they're protected by having this cell phone that they can reach you as a lifeline to call their parent and say, "I love you," or vice versa? Don't deny that connection. Don't deny yourself that connection. You've worked hard to get here. You have to let go. You don't have to let go completely. Buy this child's cell phone. I could make up 100 things, but you saw it in the movie. What did you see first? The mother letting her child go when she takes him to school that first time, and is sitting there in tears because the child is going to school and this kid is scared to death. And you have the answer. Or at least they have their phone. They can call me anytime and the teacher will let them do it. "Mommy, I'm scared. Mommy, I'm okay. Mommy, I'm this. Mommy, I'm that." You can rest easy. How hard is it to sell that child's cell phone? Not hard at all. I'm sorry? Easy. Right. So what else are you selling? See the movie. And then put them in that position in the movie. Let them be the star of your movie so they become the star of their own. Make sense? Okay. How can you all use that with your messaging? Whether we're selling cosmetics or nutritional or food or jewelry or, new exercise equipment, any of that. How do you make that movie and make your customer the star of that movie? Where they see it and they come to that movie on their own and go, you know what, this really speaks to me. I see myself. I can do this. I can buy this Abflex and do 2,000 crunches a day and I can look like this person. If you took my head and transplanted it onto Arnold Schwarzenegger's body at his prime, in 6 months, he'd look like me. So the fact is that you can get the imagery. So it's not just imagery if you're writing copy, it's imagery if you're selling anything. That could be selling a message of financial security, selling a message of how you're different than anyone else. Put it into a movie and let you see it first, let them see it. So you go to the movies with your customer. I call it sort of a popcorn thing, where you're both sharing popcorn. But it works every single time. You just have to allow yourself to do it. And the more you do it and the more practice you get, the more involved and interesting the movies get, the more things you begin to see in the movie. Oh, I didn't see that in the staging. Oh, that's a great costume idea. The lighting is great. The music here is wonderful. What about that dialogue? What about set that stage? You got that stage in the novel you read. Now put the stage on the screen and now translate it into your copy, into your message, into your sales, into your presentation, into how you package your products and services. Does everybody get that? Any questions before we move on?